send our condolences out to the family of Charlie Lyons. And, if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Very difficult to lose somebody like that. So our thoughts and best wishes to Charlie's family. All right. Been a long time, between my medical issues and, summer coming where we typically don't do the program. It's been like a lifetime since we've had these two gentlemen on TV. So I'm hoping they will spark up the interesting questions. But I want to start by reminding you that Facebook Live is not the place to go. Now I have a little cheat sheet that tells me that we want you to go to youtube.com/@MethuenTV, and you can use the live chat option on that YouTube instead of comments to ask any question. Now this is a program with the two chiefs, and let me say, no tongue in cheek. We are blessed to have two of the finest chiefs in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I say that clearly. They have clearly made my job a lot easier and have done some marvelous things. But they're here today, and let me just prep them by saying, any of the easy questions I will answer, any of the difficult questions we'll go over to them to see if they know what the answers are. So I'm joined today by Tim Sheehy, our fire chief, and by Scott McNamara, our police chief. And how long you been in the job, Scott?
Just about 2 years. October 5th will be 2 years.
And Tim, how long you been in the job?
30.
30?
Next month. Yeah, 30.
Wow. And everything you learned was taught to you by David Broadhurst, correct?
That's right, yeah.
All right, that's on tape now. We got that.
Dave.
Yeah. So the first slide, I'm going to go back. So we've got the reminder to go to YouTube. Please, ask some questions. It makes the hour go quickly. And these guys come on, they're willing to answer questions, right? Keep them respectful, keep them topic-oriented, and ask questions, right? Do we have a burn season coming up in Methuen, right? With all the rain, maybe we do. I don't know. So I don't think a lot would burn down right now.
No, but there's
No. Yeah.
the state sets those.
Yeah. So, and we got a lot coming up. So I said the two guests, I'm flipping through slides. So we're going to start with Tim Sheehy. And what I wanted to do is kind of highlight some of the things. So Tim, over the course of your tenure as fire chief and this administration, we've been able to capitalize, no pun intended, on a lot of assets, right? Upgrading our ambulance service, updating our fire engine service.
Feedback.
I want to see the questions live.
Yeah. Those silence buttons can be painful. There's a slide in there, if you put it up, that shows just a couple of the items that are in there from the fire department. I want to explain. So if you could throw the slide up that shows capital improvement plan, fire department. It's about 3 or 4 in. No? There we go. So hard to read, but there's 3 items on it, and people might say, well, why aren't there trucks and everything like that? But let's talk about, the power load stretchers. I think we took care of that one, right?
Right, yep.
Okay,
Awesome.
that one's done. And then we have a request for a station generator and an SCBA filling station. So talk a little bit about those 2 things, Timothy.
So the SCBA filling station is in, and it's in use. Been in for a couple months now. Great system.
Yeah.
It's compatible with some of the other departments in the area, filling the same type of the bottles, the same type of SCBAs.
Yeah.
So we had switched from Scott to MSA a few years back.
Yeah.
And so this is great. The last filling station we had was been there since I got on. Is antiquated, so it was hard to get parts for. We'd have to have a dive shop come in and try to change the parts, and it got to the end of its useful life where we couldn't get parts. So that was huge, getting that.
Yeah. Before somebody asks, SCBA is self-contained breathing apparatus, right?
Excellent. Yeah.
All right. And
one for
the
one.
only thing, I only know that because of scuba. I'll be honest with you, right? The only difference is you is underwater, right?
Yeah,
right. They get, these SCBAs, they get used quite frequently.
Yes, a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
And they have a shelf life too, the bottles and the.
They do.
So we replaced those probably about 6 or 7 years ago. We got a grant.
Yeah.
It was like $250,000, and we were to replace them. And we have ticks on them, which is a thermal imaging camera. So each pack has its own like mini tick. Plus we have a bigger camera on each crew has a camera.
Because I remember and I'm going to say the last significant, don't hold me to, the last significant fire was the one in the square there. To me,
no, but
there are others.
Like a big one.
Big one,
News where it's
So I remember one of the guys was just about to go in a door.
That's on video, yeah.
Yeah, and then whoosh, right?
Yeah, once the air gets in.
And that's one of the important elements to me about making sure these guys have all the equipment necessary, because you never know. I actually was just talking to the chief on our way through the square and said, when is that building coming down?
Almost a year.
I know. We're close to
November.
A year, right? Yeah. Wow.
Well, we've had a few fires in between them.
Have we?
That's the one that sticks out.
Yeah. Well, it sticks out in my mind because
One a year.
I saw everybody going to and fro, and I'm like,
a bigger structure downtown that like got a big head start of us in front of us. As soon as they got there, they got a call for another address, and they drove by like, hey, was fully involved. And the whole downtown smoke.
So, I think one of the questions that residents might have, you and I just talked about, we've been able to make some progress on the ambulances. We've been able to make some progress on fire trucks. So why don't we see more fire trucks and ambulances on the capital improvement plan? And I think the answer is in the stabilization, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, that's why.
So explain that a little bit if you could.
So a few years back, the state has a program called the CPE, which is the I'll remember that what it is for the acronym. But so it has to do with Medicaid runs. So we do a lot of Medicaid runs in a city like Methuen. If you're a city with more money, you maybe not do as many Medicaid runs. We're not the worst, but we're not the worst. We're like in the middle, maybe a little bit. So we do a lot of Medicaid runs. So there's a program. I'll think of the name. But anyway, there's the Certified Public Expenditure program, where if you go after it, you put in all like the numbers would be like depreciation values of the fire trucks, radio systems, anything like that. But after a truck is about, I think it's 8 years old, there's no more. To them, it's beyond its useful life, So it may still be in service as a spare, but you really won't get anything back with that. But we probably bring in about, I'd say very close to or over 300,000 every year. So I think we've been on over 300,000 the last 5 years.
Is that with or without my personal contributions?
Yes, your personal contribution. Maybe 400,000. But it's worked out great. So it goes into the stabilization fund. So really the taxpayers, other than with some opera money,
correct.
And once we used some of that money to save some firefighter jobs, then the city came back when, we stabilized and the city purchased that truck. But other than that, the ambulances, it's been a great program. And we ordered another truck, and there's $1 million in there right now.
Yeah.
Before we pay for that.
We've got, have we got an ambulance on order? Or no, we've got
nope,
a truck
we haven't
on
got
order.
a fire truck. Yep.
Yeah.
So that'll be the 5th.
Yeah.
Since I've been chief.
Yeah.
Pump, new ladder, 4
Right.
new ambulances.
Yeah.
But when it took over,
and
it's nothing against past chiefs. It's just that, everyone just kept
It's
kicking the
important
can down the
yeah.
road, and
Yeah.
and then this program definitely helped big time.
It did.
So
Yeah.
so we
And the ARPA. Yeah.
we were, it was tough. There was
Yeah. So, if you could, just for a minute, describe the condition of your ambulances and your fire trucks as we speak. How are we as a city?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Best I've seen in 30 years.
Okay.
And if you ask any firefighter, say the same thing. We got all 4 ambulances
Yeah.
the same. I think the oldest one might be
Yeah.
6 years old,
Yeah.
and the engines in the ladder are probably 2 engines in the ladder are 6 years old. We have 2 are 1 year old. We still have backups in decent shape, and we have another one on the way. So that would be 3 Pierce.
So,
fire pumps,
what would be, if I said to you, Tim, what's your dream? What's your dream before you step down as chief? What's your dream? What do you hope to?
Well, I would have liked to see either an addition on that fire station somehow, if we could get some property there, or a new station, because the ladder truck is stationed on House Street when really it should be in a central location.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit, which
Right.
would definitely help us out with the ambulances, because now we have 3 full-time ambulances going most of the time.
Yeah.
So we need a few more people, and it will be ideal. But if that ladder truck could ever get in the same building in a central location where we could have, a full ladder crew that could also take maybe down the road, and it's not going to be that far down the road, maybe taking a fourth ambulance.
Yeah.
So
That'd be great.
what's great is now we don't have to take things out of service to get things done.
Yeah.
So
And so,
really going well.
let's talk a little bit, because we talk a lot on the stage, and I readily admit, I think you're aware, I wanted to build a public safety complex behind Dunkin' Donuts on 28. And that, couldn't convince KSC. They have since sold to Yang Ming, I think, in Salem. It's going to become a...
Right, yeah. It's going to be a restaurant. Yeah,
yeah, a restaurant with, a stage. And I understand that. I just, to me, that was a central site that would have been ideal to get anywhere in the city, right? Yeah.
Sure.
But talk a little bit about, we don't talk enough about the condition of the fire station and the police station, right? And I said, we're looking at a DPW building. And I think, I want to prep the residents for, I think longer term, we've got to be looking at a safety complex, if you will.
Yes.
Right? Because we're buying trucks in some cases specifically because of the size of the building they go into, right?
In most cases, yes.
Most cases, right? So the central fire station goes back to,
It's built for horses.
yeah, horse and buggy, right?
Right. Yep.
You don't have any of those?
No more horses. No.
Well, we may go back to those. So yeah.
So we have two of them have the arch doors, which you
Yeah.
don't want to ruin that.
Yeah.
Plus, we'd have to ask the historical
Yeah.
commission, and I think they took money from the state before for the building to get repainted on the outside. So I think they have some stake in it now
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah.
anyway, we just bought a little bit smaller ambulances. They're all the same. They fit in barely.
Yeah.
But the East End has a problem with the length of the trucks fitting
Yeah.
in. So that was built, the other one was 1899. I think that was 1920. So two of them over 100 years
Yeah.
old. So it's the size of them that's the problem. They're in half decent shape. Yeah, they're not brand new, but
Yeah.
the living conditions are okay. We need updating, but the size of the trucks
Yeah.
that they're making now is the
Agreed.
problem.
So that, I got to be honest with you, that weighs on me because between the condition of our police department building and our fire department, our fire stations, they're not good, right? We should be starting to think long-term about planning for a public safety complex and where ideally it would sit in the city. So we do have consultants working on the DPW facility and where it would be, designing it and where it would ultimately be best, placed in the city. And I'd like to follow that right up when it's done with a public safety discussion, because to the taxpayer, this would be borne by bonds. In my mind, we'd go out and get whatever state or federal money we could get for these, and there is some to be had, and then the rest of it would be bonded and paid off over, a 20-year period. And I think we've proven the capability to do that, right? To successfully borrow money and pay it back, right? Our debt ratio is outstanding. That's one of the good things about becoming in the financial position we're in, is we're able to think about these things that we couldn't. And there's all different options on the table, right? You mentioned, and it's something we need to think about, at some point, if the houses adjacent to the central fire station become available, do we just widen the central fire station and put on that, side that if we acquired it, I call them the doors like Phillips Academy has. We can drive in and out.
Right.
We circle
Ideally, that'd be the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could do it, but we had spoken about that before. But
Yeah.
it's a beautiful building. If it just needs a little bit updating. But if you built 3 or 4 stalls,
A lot
and
up
stuff-
there.
Right.
I
But
get
if you
scared walking up the
if you
stairs.
move to that side
Yeah.
when it's done, and then they redo. Yeah. It's old.
Yeah. It's
The
old.
stairs are like this.
Amen. Yeah. Going upstairs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so fire stations, and then I wanted to kind of any other prime issues that you wanted to talk about while you're here, because you come so infrequently. You're a hesitant guest.
I'm not invited.
Oh my God, that's not true.
Nobody wants to hear from me.
So, are there, besides, the equipment, and let me say, the morale of your team is second to none. They do a great job for our community, as do our police officers, but you guys are always there contributing, whether it's for the veterans, whether it's for, our seniors. There's always, assistance to be had with the firefighters. And I love the camaraderie, right? I really do.
That's something to do with me but that's the union. The union does a lot of good things.
Yeah.
They're led by Jim McLaughlin, who's a training
Jim's a great
lieutenant.
guy. Yep.
Great guy. As you know, I was a union president for years before that, as was Scott and Lawrence, but I know how it works, so I know how to treat the firefighters and the union members, and we have a great relationship, and they do a great job in the community, and they make my job easy because we have that relationship, and I'm proud to represent them as the chief.
Now, I drove through the downtown on the way here, and I saw the scarecrows were up. Did you sponsor a scarecrow?
I did, yeah.
All right. Just checking.
I didn't pay for it yet.
Michelle,
strong arms us every
she's the
year.
greatest fleece artist in the city's history. Yeah, she's good at it.
Looks good down there. I saw her putting them up. She does a good job.
She does a great job. So I'm going to check and see if we got any questions. I'll have to beg mercy if the sound comes on because I didn't turn this off.
Probably.
So let's see if we got any questions for the first chief before we move
I
on.
hope they bombard the police chief, not me.
Oh, this is recording. Chad, here we go. Teresa Wingerkankle. Here she goes. Teresa, how are you? CVS on Swan Street, Methuen, has the new Moderna 2023-2024 COVID-19 shots, plus the flu shot. CVS in Lawrence, Andover, and Salem, New Hampshire has this Pfizer booster shot version. Thank you, Teresa. We are giving out, we are conducting flu shot clinics. In fact, the public health nurse conducted one today, and there will be several others for the flu shot, and she'll be doing some once we get the COVID-19 vaccine as well. So that's good news. Everything else under the questions is all ads, so
Oh,
I don't
good.
think
Perfect.
I don't think
Get off the
people are
hook.
excited by your discussion. So,
Boring.
but I do want to, I do think the firefighters do a great job for the community. And all kidding aside, it doesn't go unnoticed, right?
Well,
And so I get a lot of people that call me and say, in fact, Charlie Lyons, the man that passed away today, called me, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, to tell me, he had a little fall in his bathtub, and they had to call the Methuen Fire Department. And responsive, professional, couldn't ask for more, is what he told me. And so that's always delightful to hear, right? When most of what you hear is, so-and-so didn't do this, or so-and-so didn't do that. It's great to hear once in a while.
Luckily, those are few and far between the complaints. We get a lot of people calling to thank the crews that are out there.
Yeah.
Call anytime. We'll
They do
come
it.
out.
They do a great job. So, from a seasonal standpoint, Tim, we're heading into October, and I'm an old bugger. So, I joked about burn season. We don't still have like a burn season.
Yeah,
do we?
it'll be January 1st to April 1st.
Okay.
But depending on the weather,
Yeah.
you have to call in every day. There's lists of rules. It's on the website.
Okay.
You can look it up. You have to come down and get one permit. Once you sign up.
Yep.
If you're going to burn again the next week or the next day, you just call in.
Yeah.
Check the conditions because the deputy chief,
Yeah.
they'll tell you whether burning because it's too windy. We're not going to burn. It's too dry. We're not going to burning. And then it does get extended by the state sometimes, depending on what the weather conditions are like, whether it's been dry or wet.
Yeah. Can you burn leaves?
No,
No.
no, it makes too much smoke. It
I know.
stinks. Don't burn leaves.
I still.
That's
associate-
when we get called. You can burn brush,
Yeah.
but no leaves.
Yeah. I still associate that with the smells of my childhood.
Burning
You know,
leaves.
growing up burning leaves. I mean, my
People
uncle
do
used
it.
to be like a fanatic
Yeah.
raker. He'd put them in a pile, and of course, I made this joke on, I think in the city council. On this show last week, we used to have the thing in the backyard when I was a kid called the pig. We called it the pig, and it was a cement cylindrical thing in the ground, and you didn't put any trash in there except food waste. So your, what do we call them in today's?
Compost?
Your compostables, your consumables. We all get after a meal. My uncle would go out and dump them in this
Yeah.
cylindrical object
Still
in a
see 'em.
concrete
Still see
base.
'em once in
And
a
we called it the pig. And once a week he would say, "Boyo, let's go outside and make some excitement." And what he meant was he would go out and he would open up the thing and you'd see all the live creatures in there.
Yeah,
He'd squirt a little lighter fluid in there and then throw a match in. And, it would burn down to, so I don't know if we'll ever get back to that. But
Hopefully not.
that was my youth.
Was it?
Right? Yep. That was my youth. That and smell of burning leaves. So, all right. Well, we're going to move on to the police department because nothing else to be said about the fire department.
Beautiful.
I think that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think
Got
that's
off
a
the
good thing.
hook.
So let's start the same way if we could, Chief, and talk a little bit about, capital improvement plan. There's a couple things here, and there may be other things. I think probably one of the things I wish I had put on before the show was we just spent close to $2 million in radio upgrades, right? And that was, did we fund that capital? Was that capital or was that ARPA? I think it was capital.
It was capital.
So we funded, communication upgrades. Can we, either one of you, can you talk a little bit about why do we have to do that? Why do we have to change the radios? I know Motorola had a big piece of this, and there was some of the interoperability. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it has to be interoperability. There's also, you go from VHF, which is very high, to UHF, ultra high frequency.
Ultra high, yeah.
So with us, sometimes we have a problem. I don't know if Scott knows. If Fluid was here, you could get into depth, or Randy.
Yeah.
But,
He knows it all. Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be compatible also with other communities around you. As you see when you have these big incidents, whether it's the, like the marathon bombing or something like that. All these agencies and different agencies need to, when you have a mass casualty incident or something like that, you need to be able to communicate. The gas explosions was a perfect example of that.
Now, there's a commercial app out there, and this is not to put either one of you on the spot, because this just popped in my. There's a commercial app that allows you to track certain communities. Scanner. And, for a while, people have been, "Hey, Mayor, why can't we hear Methuen?" And I honestly don't know the answer to that.
You can hear it.
Can you?
Yeah.
But you have to go on, sometimes you'll have to go on Essex County,
Okay.
Massachusetts. It might not be Methuen fire, or, you know what I mean? But if Methuen's having a fire,
There you
you'll
go.
come up.
There's
And
the answer right
unless
there.
it changed, it
Yeah.
could
We
be
have the
wrong.
ability to go to an encrypted channel if we need to go to encrypted channel for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be out there in the
Yeah.
public.
Same with
Yep.
us, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we started talking a little bit about the capital improvement plan, Chief, and there's 3 items highlighted here. You've got an additional 6 line cruisers in the capital
Sure.
plan. That would bring,
So this
if my math is correct, that would bring us to
22.
22, yeah.
Yep. So really grateful for that. As you know, we were really in tough shape when it came to our fleet, particularly our patrol fleet. We had officers that were driving police cars with over 200,000 miles on them. So first year, grateful we got our first 8. And the police officers put together a group of a focus group to put together a plan for how it was the configuration of the cars and what we're going to do to paint it and put it all together. So we more or less agreed with everything they suggested. So they liked the design. So added 8. They went right to the patrol officers. Next year, another 8, and this year, because of the escalation in inflation, about the same amount of money, but we're going to get 6 with that money this year. They're about $75,000 for all of these vehicles. With the Ford Interceptor SUV, when we start adding all the bells and whistles, the things that we need to do our job, the lights and sirens and technology, you're up to about $75,000 per vehicle.
So I wanted to, while we're talking vehicles, so you two have similar but different situations when it comes to vehicles. So you buy the Interceptors, they're Fords. They're basically Explorers, I think, right?
Yeah, the Interceptor is essentially the police package. Better acceleration, better braking, all that sort of thing.
But buying
less
that
rollover.
that model, if you will, is not typically the roadblock. Well, we haven't run into it as a roadblock in the last couple of years. Whereas on the fire side, I don't know if they're F450s or F550s. the chassis itself
Well, they
is a
stopped
problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So right now, if I was to order an ambulance, because there's a backlog chassis during COVID, everything had shut down for a
Right.
little bit, and they focused on making more like F-150s and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and so if you, my last ambulance took us almost 2 years. So if you order one now, you might be lucky to have it in 3.
Yeah.
But the box was made.
Yeah.
You know, Braun makes that box. It's just that we had no chassis to put
Right.
on.
Yep. All right. I noticed one on yours that was the subject of much discussion at the last city council meeting. That's the evidence infrastructure and tagging, shelving, and software program. Anything you want to talk about that?
Yeah, as you know, we talked about that at the last meeting. I believe it's something that really needs to be addressed. Whenever you bring in a new police chief,
Yeah.
you should do a 100% audit of all of your evidence. You put hands on every single piece. I'm also looking to bag and tag every single piece of evidence in a uniform manner. And I really appreciate the RFID tagging technology. I think that that's the best possible product for our needs. It's a costly product,
Yeah.
but when you spread it out over X amount of years, 3 years to begin with the potential of adding on 2 more, roughly $350,000 for the first 3 years. So I think it's a project that we need to tackle.
Yep.
And we need to get a handle on exactly what we have,
Yeah.
and make sure that we have processes in place to make sure that we never lose anything. There's been some scandals in other departments. It's being widely recognized as a soft spot in policing across the country, really,
Yep.
and it's something I want to get a handle on it before it becomes an issue for the city of
Yeah.
Methuen.
Yeah, so I wanted to pause and kind of talk a little bit about the difference between barcode tracking and RFID, because I think people think that they're the same thing and they're not. So barcode tracking, which can be had much cheaper, is still reliant on the individual.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is you can buy any system that allows you to produce labels that says, this is Tim Sheehy, and I put a label on them, and I have to actively scan that label to get any kind of return.
Mhm.
So when you're talking about evidence, that would require a consistent process of scanning, manually scanning. And the discussion is there about the expense. The discussion has to be focused on whether the expense is worth the benefit that you get by upgrading to RFID, which is a far more complex technology, which scans with or without. So if you've got readers throughout the building, which is, I think, what the plan is to have, they hit on something every time it's moved. It's not waiting for you, Tim, or you, Scott, to scan it, barcode scan, which most systems are, right? And so I only say that not to convince people one way or another, to let them know is you just need to be careful that when you're talking about barcode scanning and you're talking about RFID, you're talking about 2 very different things, right? Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So in the
Direct it to him.
RFID, I just want to know how it works. So, barcode, you can rip the
Yeah.
barcode off. So RFID, how does that work? What if somebody removed? Like, how does
Where the tag is removed? So it's a more permanent, so that's a great question. So it's typically a more permanent tag, and typically the system that I put in at Raytheon, it used codes like a QR code, right? So it's embedded, so they're harder to get off. They're more permanent seal, but they're also unique in their design, so you can't really tell what's in the QR code until it gets hit by one of the readers. So that's a fair question. Can you reprint an RFID? You can. You absolutely can. But your requirement to reprint them is usually far less. Even even the RFID itself, the tag, is a more permanent piece of literature than when you go to a store and you buy an inventory tracking system, you can buy it fairly straightforward, and it's going to let you print your own barcodes, but it's going to let you print it on normal label stock.
But if somebody tampered with it or was manipulated somehow, it alerts you?
Yeah.
So you'll
you can't
know?
Yeah, you can't.
If it moves, if
Yeah,
the
if it
RFID
moves, yeah,
tag moves, it'll
Yeah.
alert us.
Well,
I mean, we still have to go hands-on and periodically, and this system is made to essentially do a 10% audit every
Yeah.
month.
Yep.
So every month, it's going to randomly select 10% of all the evidence we have, and our technician, with the oversight of somebody from internal affairs, they'll go hands-on on 10% of every piece of evidence that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
They'll verify that the tag is there, and and then the evidence that is in the bag.
Yeah.
And then the next month it picks another a different 10%, and by the
Yeah.
end of the year you've touched everything.
Yeah. Well, and you could just, you can alter that, just, so you can do it by, and I'm not, so my experience in industry was, we did it based on the price of the thing. So we had the warheads, which we didn't want to mess around with. And so those were tagged a specific way so that you would never lose them.
Good idea.
Right? You don't want to lose one of those bad boys. Yeah. But, other than that, it was primarily based on price. What do we pay for this thing? Okay, this is a high dollar and we don't want to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
In your case, I would assume that you would want to change that a little bit to be importance. And I'm not, if you've got evidence in a murder case, to me that would be
Yeah.
a little bit higher priority than evidence
Sure.
in a, I don't know, parking dispute, right? Unless it
Yeah.
evolved into something,
The real utility is, I'll say this is, obviously there's been some cases where the
Yeah.
technician is through nefarious means is stealing and what have you, right?
Yeah.
But most of the cases when evidence is lost, it's just lost somewhere along the way.
Yep.
For example, it's signed out, it might be signed in at the district attorney's office, and
Yeah.
somebody who's supposed to return it doesn't, and then years go by. This system is set up that you'll know exactly when it passed a reader and it left the building.
Right.
You'll know that it's on a schedule to return to the building.
Right.
If it doesn't return when it's supposed to, you'll start your investigation right there and then. You
Right.
get to the bottom of it. And the other thing too is it's not just the RFID.
Yeah.
You link that with obviously a good video surveillance system. So
Yeah.
tie all that together and you find yourself in a good place.
Well, and the comment I made Monday night, or 2 Monday nights ago, is any system that's dependent upon human interaction, at some point is going to fall victim to error.
Mm-hmm.
Because people make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. And the unfortunate part of it is, in some of these things, you can't afford to do that. So it'd be interesting to see. It's on the agenda to be pulled from the table. It'd be
Yes.
interesting to see. Have you talked to Councilor Simard since last Monday?
I think he's a hard no,
Yeah.
but I'm going to still work. I'm going to continue to work on him.
Okay.
I think his major issue is the price.
The
And
price, yep.
that's
Fair.
That's a fair evaluation of
Yep.
the facts. If he feels
Yep.
like it's not worth the investment, then I understand if he was to vote no. But I really do think it's from my perspective, it's something that we need and it's worth the price.
We will indeed see if the honeymoon season is over for Chief McNamara on Monday
You
night.
don't get everything you want, right?
Yeah. And then, one other item you had that I pulled from the capital improvement plan was you have $326,000 to do building improvement. So talk a
Yeah,
little bit about that.
Carryover. So it's something that we've been looking at for some time. So we want to do what we can to kind of improve the working environment for the Methuen police officers. And one of the things that's kind of in real tough condition is the bathroom facilities.
Yeah.
We lack shower facilities for the police officers, bathroom facilities, female bathrooms, not enough of those.
Yeah.
Our locker rooms are more or less non-existent.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that money to address all of that, try to create a situation where we have a fairly modernized locker room where
Yep.
police officers can store all of their uniforms and their
You're
gear.
giving this guy all kinds of ideas.
Yeah, so they don't have to traipse it back and forth in their
We don't have the
cars.
space for it.
I know.
I'd like to do it.
Yeah, I
Can't
know.
do it. I don't have
Yeah.
space.
Where would
Right.
you do it, right?
Yeah.
Can you
And
do one of
ideally-
those outside showers like at the beach?
But you see
Sure.
the officers a lot. They're doing like the traffic assignments, and they
Yeah.
might have to work at night. They should be able to come right to the police station, shower,
Yep.
put on a crisp, clean uniform, and start their day.
Yeah. So that's great to hear. Do you anticipate spending that this year?
Yes,
Good.
that's going to be our focus this year. Is kind of getting all these different capital improvement plans going. We're grateful for all the money we received through the capital improvement plan. We're grateful to you, Mayor, and the council, but most importantly, we're grateful to the taxpayers that are funding all these projects.
Okay. Teresa's getting her money worth again. Got like 12 things in there. So we'll come back to her in a minute. But we have some exciting news that we wanted to share today on the next slide. So today, the city of Methuen, through its police department, was awarded a grant by the, I think we had a chart, the Department of Justice, a total of $550,000, a 3-year grant period for the creation of a community response team and a community support center. So I'm going to let the chief talk about this in a minute, but I want to say this is an important thing for the mental health task force that we formed. We're looking at a number of different things. I do intend to, come to the city council in the second October meeting with our plan to spend some of the opioid money and how we're going to use it. And we're going to try to use it in education, in execution, in all aspects of prevention, if you will. But this is an important first step. So talk a little bit about what it is, Chief.
Sure. So the mental health problem is pervasive here and throughout the country. Roughly 25% of all the calls we go on have some sort of mental health issue that's involved, and a lot of these calls we're going back to them time and time again, taking up quite a bit of our police resources, firefighters' resources, and frankly, we're not getting to a better place. So we've been trying to address this for some time, and fortunately, we in the police department, we hired a rather dynamic employee and a director of crime analysis and disorder, Dawn Reby. She realized that this was a need, not just for the department, but for the city at large, and she kind of took this on as a challenge and really kind of like worked well outside of her lane, crafted just an unbelievable proposal. She identified a service provider for us to partner with. The name of that company is Frontline. They worked together to put this proposal together. And as a result, we were rewarded $550,000 to put together these crisis intervention response teams.
Yep.
And I just really look forward to it. Police officers, when they go to these type of calls, they don't have a lot of tools at their disposal.
Correct.
They just call for an ambulance and try to get them to go to the hospital, and then sometimes they get sectioned, sometimes they don't. But the long and short of it, it's a revolving door.
Yeah.
So this is an area where I'd like to say we're ready to reimagine policing. There's a better way to do it.
Yep.
And this is going to be the new way to do it.
And I appreciate that. And I think, I'd say one thing that attendance at the crime stat meeting monthly has helped me understand is just how many incidents in the city are really directly attributable to mental health versus, just thinking good guy, bad guy kind of thing, right? So
yeah, you can see how many of these times that it's the same people involved.
Yeah.
In one case they're a suspect, the next case they're a victim, but the same names keep coming up over and over again, and it's usually because of the mental health piece.
Yep. I want the audience to know that we do not pay Teresa by the question. She asked these questions, so there's about 15 of them out there. I'm going to get through as many as I can. Hopefully some of them will get Sheehy or McNamara stuck. Here's the first one. This one goes to Mr. Sheehy. In the past couple of years, click with my big fat finger. In the past couple of years, the Methuen Fire Department did a Mayor's Minute show on fire safety about smoke alarms, keeping boilers cleaned, etc. Can we do this kind of show again?
Absolutely. It's that time of year right now.
Yeah, October would be the right time,
Yep,
right?
that's usually when we do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fire Prevention Week's coming up.
Now, would that be you or,
Somebody else could do it if they want.
I'd be happy to have you. I'm just.
Fluid's the fire prevention guy, Matt Telly.
So
Tracy
now,
Tracy
Teresa's over to police. Citizens Police Academy sounds interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about it. I could have been involved. Please describe the program and how successful the spring 2023 program was. What did the students like most and were surprised about learning? A lot there.
Oof.
Unpack
Well,
it. Yeah.
I think what they like most is the firearms range.
Yeah.
So under the strict supervision of our firearms instructors, we took our candidates over there to kind of experience, what that's all about. But long and short of it, it was put together by Sergeant Kevin Joba. He brought together subject matter experts from various parts of our department to teach criminal law, criminal procedure, just give them an overview of what it's like to be what a police officer experiences in the police academy, what they learn, and how they apply that in the field. They even did applied patrol procedures and kind of went over some of the things that we encounter in the field so that they can get an experience for themselves. So I love the program. I think we roughly put through 25 citizens this first time, and we're going to be doing it. This is going to be an annual event.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love it. the next one goes back to you. She likes to alternate, which is good. We're not paying her. I believe we are supposed to replace fire alarms and carbon monoxide detect devices every 10 years. Please confirm, what are the best types of these devices and features? I know you can't answer that last one, so.
Yeah, no, it's you'll see the same things out there. Be FireX or
Yeah,
I think they get bought out now anyway. But yeah, just make sure you always have, like, if you have one on each floor, it'd be great to have have them in the proper places. But it depends if they're the age of the house. You'd have to either have hardwired or battery operated. The battery operated now, the sealed ones are better because it forces you. Well, it won't let you take it out
right.
to use for your, your TV changer, or anything else. The kids with the video games controllers. But anyhow, just make sure that you have a CO detector also with it. So a combo would be great.
Is 10 years the right amount of time?
Kidda.
Huh?
10 years. So if you're selling your house and they're all in perfect working condition, but they're over 10 years old, you have to replace them. So we do the smokes on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
When people are selling a house, selling and buying, we'll go out, check it out. They could all work, but if they're over 10 years, you have to change it now.
Excellent. Thank you. Just yet another service provided by fire. Here's one. Is the Methuen Police Department considering hiring from Merrimack College Police Academy? The college has a small graduating class.
So the way that civil service works, we have to hire off of the civil.
I didn't know that Merrimack College had a policing academy.
Yeah, they just launched it within the last 3 or 4 years, I believe.
Okay.
So we're a civil service community, so we have to hire based on who's on that list, and then we send them to an academy. And the academy that we use is the Northern Essex Academy, run by the Municipal Police Training Committee.
Yep.
So I don't see us moving from that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great program what they're doing over there, but it's largely based on for police departments that have moved away from civil service.
Yeah.
So the students are going there. They're kind of tying in the academy, and they're getting credits towards their master's degree at the same time. I think there's a need for it. I think it's a great program, but it doesn't necessarily fit our needs.
Yeah. So your answer is really that it could be done, but there are additional steps that would be required, right? So they'd have to go to the full-time academy.
Yeah, I mean that is a full-time police academy.
Yep.
But
Excuse me.
but you have to obviously have to pay to go to that academy. And it's linked in with education, and it's something that would just be a little bit too complicated for us, for given our needs.
Yeah. Next one is you two. Are there any significant changes in crime types in Methuen over the last year?
Yeah, there's been a significant increase in fraud type crimes, particularly targeting the elderly. The phone calls and they're getting more and more advanced in terms of scamming people and tricking them that they're calling to look out for their best interests, claiming they're from the bank or from the IRS or from the government in some form or fashion, and people are giving up their social security number and credentials and access to their computers and all kinds of fraud-related schemes, check washing. So we investigate these, we try our best, but I think our best bet is education. So we're doing a lot of that. We're going directly to the banks, talking to them. We're spending a lot of time at the senior center, educating our seniors, and we're looking to do some more in that respect. But
so what should somebody do if somebody is a resident and they're embarrassed? They feel they might have been a victim of a scam, and they don't want it, widely publicized. What should they do?
Well, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, you've been taken advantage of. It's happened. Happened to people across a wide spectrum, and like I said, it's very sophisticated. I mean, police officers have fallen for it. What I think what you need to do is if somebody calls you and indicates there's a problem, don't take their word that they're authentic.
Right.
Stop, say, hang up, and then make your own phone call to that particular company.
Yeah.
And then route it through that way and see if you're actually dealing with the people you think you're dealing with.
Yeah. And the only thing I'd add to that is a lot of them come by email too, right? And you can tell by hovering. Lewis has taught me this. You hover over the sending address. Mm-hmm. It will show you whether the address is really what it purports to be or not, right? So
Yeah.
I can get an email that purports to be from the governor. If you right-click over the address it's sent from, it'll tell you where it's literally coming from. And there's usually, one or two giveaways, right? The ending is not usually what it would be if it was a truthful target. So appreciate that. We're back to fire department. What skill set would help getting into the fire department? I assume having an EMT certification would help. That's a good assumption. I assume there is a fire academy where we need to go to qualify and be put on a wait list. So we're actually...
Yeah, so that's how we do it now. So when they come up with a new civil service list, they'll come out with it ranking you depending on what your score was. If you're an EMT, so veterans are at the top, disabled veterans. But if they're not an EMT, an EMT will go past them. So if you're a veteran with an EMT, you go past the other veterans.
Right.
So, but you have to have an EMT to get on. In most cities now that run an ambulance service, Methuen, North Andover, just thinking of local ones, but that's a pre-qualification. So you have to have that. You have to pass a physical agility test, the PAT, which is, it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Some people can't pass it, but you have to be in pretty decent shape to get through that. So once you pass the written, you have the PAT, but you won't even get that far unless you're an EMT in Methuen anyway. Yep. So.
And isn't there like a nationwide shortage of EMTs right now?
Down probably more now, but there was 250,000 since COVID.
Wow.
So like cities like Lawrence that have a
Private carrier. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a private, so they're doing transports too. But next thing you know, there's not enough EMTs. They're relying on Methuen, Andover, and North Andover. So even if we're not going to Lawrence, we're going to Andover because Andover's second ambulance is in Lawrence, and that's just how the mutual aid system works. But
okay. So who's she asking? Please describe the events for both departments for Methuen Day. Both departments have done nice events in the past. What do you do an open house?
So we do the open house. We'll have the trailer for the kids to go through on how to get out, climb out the window. They have like a kitchen prop in there and stuff. We do 2 demonstrations of using the Jaws of Life. So now we have all the battery operated. We have all different props inside. We have a little fire truck ride for the kids.
Something the mayor's never done.
Free pizza. We'll put you on the little one. If you want. But yeah,
I should say that I was in the bucket last year at the fire station where we did the
Hanukkah.
Yeah. When we did the Hanukkah event, we dropped the coins.
Told him to send you to the moon.
You did. You told Fluid.
But the rabbi is like, no.
You get a little nervous at 30 feet. So.
Yeah. But we have also the free pizza, and we have swag bags, with a lot of goodies in there.
Swag bags.
Like last year, we gave out 800. So good time.
Do they have the helmets in them?
Helmets, free little plastic helmets.
Excellent.
Apparently, we have to raise our game. I don't think we had swag bags.
Well, it's funny. I just saw
sunglasses.
I just signed a PO, so you're spending some coin.
I know.
So, what are your plans for the Methuen Day?
Very similar. Same. We have an open house as well. Happy to show everybody the police department and walk them through. And same thing. We will bring out some different things. For example, our emergency response team will come out and show them all the tools that they use. People sometimes are excited to see that. Our drones, that's another thing that gets a lot of attention. Yeah. But we'll just show them the different features of the police department.
Yeah.
Now, if we have a fire, do we use the drone if there's a fire? Is that something?
We definitely can. If we have a fire that's, we probably could have used it, but I don't even know if, was that the fire that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
If you had something for like
I just assume
hour or
an
two.
up-top look would kind of help you say, okay.
What happens if you have a bigger building like that or something where you don't have to, you still have to have a 360 view,
Right.
so you have different officers around the building, a safety officer telling you what's going on. You can't see the other side, but the drone would be very helpful with that. And well, I'm sure we'll deploy it soon.
Yeah.
So, we got another question. Given the tough economy, has the crime rate gone up significantly for different type of crimes? I think you answered and said the frauds
Yeah,
have
we,
it.
we haven't had any
Yeah.
significant spikes at all, but for the fraud issue.
Yeah.
That's been
Although we had one for
the
had
catalytic converter.
catalytic converters. Yeah.
And then there was a very, very significant arrest driven by the feds, and they took down a huge operation.
Yeah,
and we've
fentanyl.
seen it almost completely
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. So and now we got Mark Holland. So Mark, please accept the mayor's thanks for coming in with a question. So he gets, we'll give him a gift certificate because he's the first question asker rather than Teresa. And it goes to you, Mr. Sheehy. Chief Sheehy, last year there was a serious house fire on Woodburn Drive. I remember that because I used to live there. At the time, there were concerns from FD about water pressure. Has this been addressed and investigated?
Yes, so what happened there, it's like a loop system. So,
What?
you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So what happened was, if memory serves me right, we were trying to flow water. So if you have a dead end,
Yep.
the water's just going to keep coming. If you have a loop system, so one truck tied in over here, another truck tied in over here. You know how Woodburn Drive goes around a circle.
Yep.
So it's just that we're trying to probably
Got it.
flow too much water there at the
Got
time
it.
because we had the ladder on it. That fire was, a split level house like that doesn't usually get out of control. But you know how that happened.
Yeah.
The gentleman was putting his mower under
Yeah.
the enclosed deck. Tried to put it out himself. I have video of it. Yeah. So Scott Flagg's wife, Judy, took a video of it. She's a next door neighbor. But that thing, I pulled up to the front like, how the heck do we lose this thing? And
Yeah.
well, you look at the back, and
Yeah.
what happened was it was fully involved before the call was even put out
Yeah.
the back of the house, and just went up the siding, up into the
It's
roof.
just a stark reminder how
Attic.
quickly it can go, though, right?
Oh, it goes quick. Yeah.
Yeah, when things are dry. So, okay. So I wanted to give you, Teresa's got more questions, but we'll have to get to them another time. We've got about 7 minutes left in the show. I wanted to give each of you, before I get into the upcoming events, anything in particular that you wanted to share with the Methuen residents, either about what's going on within your departments or, just general thoughts that you wanted to share. And we'll start with you.
I think what we're most excited about is where we are in terms of building up the manpower in the organization. So just 2 years ago, we had 80 sworn police officers. Today we have 98.
Yeah.
And that includes the 2 we'll have going into the academy in November. And we're hopeful that perhaps some of the opioid money might be used to even continue to add. I think the end goal is to get to 106, but at 98, and when we compare that to the 80 that we had previous, we're in such a better place. We're fully staffed in our patrol division. That's taken a lot of the burden off of those officers that were getting ordered to work against their will upwards of 200 times a year.
Yeah.
Now that's roughly about 20, 25 times a year. So that has improved dramatically, but it's also allowed us to start to rebuild these proactive units that we have, like our narcotics unit, our community policing unit, our traffic unit. We get quite a bit of traffic complaints and concerns, and those units are becoming much more robust, much more responsive to the community, and I think it's making a huge impact.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw there was an arrest a couple weeks ago on the, there was an arrest on the, I go to say the motorcycles, but they're not motorcycles. The
Our task force.
Yeah, and then we had an accident where an individual got killed, I believe, and one of them flying up Lowell Street. So, it seems to me like, and maybe it's the cooler weather, I don't know, starting to come in. It's starting to, recede a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Scooter. It's like a scooter issue, right there.
Yeah.
Driving the scooters pretty rapidly.
We've seen that for the last couple of years, where they large groups of them with the scooters and dirt bikes and what have you, in and out of traffic, and they have the anonymity of the crowd, and then they flee from the police because for obvious reasons we don't chase vehicles like that because we don't want to put the motoring public at risk.
Right.
However, we've adapted, and now we of course work with the state police and their helicopters, and we observe and track, and we can pick up people tomorrow.
Yeah.
So as you saw, there was a number of arrests made. We work because, and of course, they're crossing jurisdictions. We work together with our law enforcement partners, state and local, all throughout New England to kind of make a dent into this.
Yeah. Now I don't want to burst your balloon, but You do realize there's an election in November, so you may have 9 different people to explain your restructure plan to, right? So just a warning, right? You just gotta, you don't know who's going to be where. All right, Mr. Sheehy, thoughts from you?
Along the same lines, we'd like to add 4 positions just so we have those 3 ambulances fully staffed all the time.
Yep.
Right. Sooner or later, it's going to be after me, but they're going to be probably manning all 4 ambulances. It's just EMS is just,
But talk for a minute about, so I think, this is one of the things that get lost for a taxpayer, that they don't understand, the benefit of staffing 3 ambulances full-time, right, is our ability to respond to people who are in need.
I mean, we have to, especially with the mutual aid. Other than Lawrence, like the communities we work with, we do more calls than, whether it's fire calls, but EMS calls are probably going to be over 9,000 this year, or pretty close to it. But you're talking over 20 calls a day, and you can't only have a few. So we're going mutual aid to them sometimes. They're coming here. It's a busy.
It is
business.
Well, and we appreciate everything you gentlemen do for the community and your teams, right? I'm going to finish with what I started by. We are blessed in Methuen to have people such as yourself who are so focused and who do such a good job for our community. So even when I joke around with you, never forget how much I appreciate all that you do, because it really is significant. And, to that final point, Tim, I think it's, we've still got to go back into the point where we're able to have, and I'll bring the evidence system up. So there was a debate, and what I liked most about the debate was it was a healthy, respectful debate. It didn't get out of hand, right? And so I'm eager that when that comes off the table Monday night, it happens, because whatever the will of the council is whatever you and I will execute. And it's important to understand that not everybody sees things the same, right? So to be able to discuss and try to understand is still extremely important in this day and age, right? More so, right? And I'm going to say this, if people slap me around, the people down in Washington don't get that, right? And they're not, I don't care what you say, I don't feel they're fighting. I wrote a letter today that you two will be interested in to the governor and the lieutenant governor about our predicament on Pelham Street, and just said, the records show over 200% increase in the police calls and significant increase in the medical calls, and that doesn't even count the inspectional services calls that we've sent there, which in the last 2 weeks, we don't send them there because the mayor sits there and says, okay, let me figure out how to get involved here. We send them when residents call and complain. So we've had a number of complaints about the living conditions, and I want to say the acting HHSI director, Kelly Townsend, and her team have done a fabulous job. And my note to the governor and lieutenant governor is basically somebody's got to do something, right? This can't be left alone. All right, I want to do the upcoming events. I'm running along here before they give me that. So we got some upcoming events. Yeah, this is Latin Heritage Month, and so I apologize for the tough read here, but we've got a number of events across the city, including at Nevins Library, best library in the Commonwealth. We've got a display in the Methuen City Hall Great Room. We've got a story of your cultural heritage being done in the garden room at the library on September 25th. That's already passed. And then we got the Festival de Herencia Hispana, which is October 14th, 2023, from 1 to 4 at Riverside Park. Always popular. So always check the Methuen City website for up-and-coming events. Next, we have Coffee with the Mayor. You're welcome to come and speak with me. Some people have. This one is October 4th, Wednesday, October 4th, from 10 a.m. to noon at the Senior Center on 77 Lowell Street, and I'll be happy to be there. Next, we've got Methuen Day, which is bigger and better than ever. So kudos to Council Ziegler and all those that do the grunt work here. More food trucks, more entertainment, more dancing, you name it. El sábado, el 7 de octubre. So from, I think it's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come on down. Next, we have the Veterans Sunset Salute. We got a lot of events planned. This is good. Thursday, October 12th, from 4 to 6 p.m. I got something else that night. I'm trying to remember what it is. October 12th. And the rain date is Friday, October 13th, 4 to 6 p.m. But come join us for a sunset salute. It's always a beautiful time. Then we have a second coffee with the mayor, which is Friday, October 13th from 10 a.m. to noon at Man's Orchard. By the way, before I forget, thank you so much to MCS and thank you so much to these small businesses, Man's, Heavenly Donuts, all the places that allow us to do these coffees and meet with the citizens. Because it's great to get out and meet with the individuals. Then we got my favorite, the Fall Festival. You already know that. That's Saturday, October 21st from noon to 3 p.m. So hopefully you've given some contemplation to what your costume would be. I know that the fire chief has given a lot of thought to a costume for the mayor. Mandelbaum.
Mandelbaum.
Yeah. And then we got Trunk or Treat. It's not Trunk or Treat, it's Trick or Treat. Ours is going to be Tuesday, October 31st. Everybody's always asking me, when is Trick or Treat? I thought it was 5:30 to 7:30. Am I wrong on that? I'll have to double check that. But it is that Tuesday night. And, nobody's going to slam the door if you come at 5. So make sure you get out. Then we get the Veterans Day Parade, which is Saturday, November 11th. To celebrate and honor America's veterans. Just remember Memorial Day for those that lost their lives defending us, and Veterans Day for all of our veterans. It'll form at the American Legion Post at 9:30. Parade begins on Broadway at 10. And deadline to register is Friday, November 3rd. You can contact Tom Hargraves if you're interested. Then, I can't believe I'm showing this. Save the date for Methuen Santa Parade. Maybe at this point I will actually get to ride in a fire engine.
We'll see.
We'll see. Or that UTV or whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday, November 18th, 1 p.m. This is always a great time, right? And the city does a great job. And then last but not least, we've got the flag retirement ceremony on Thursday, December 7th at Elmwood. We actually burn them there. And then we've got, Army-Navy football watch, which is scheduled for the VFW, December 9th, 2023, with lunch provided by Texas Roadhouse. Tickets go on sale October 15th at $15 each. Go on down and cheer respectfully. And last but by no means least, we have our annual Veterans Holiday Celebration at the Merrimack Valley Golf Course, I think, is it? No, it's at the Irish Cottage this year. I take that back. Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, from 6 to 9 p.m. So I ran a little bit long, 3 minutes long. My apologies. Great to have you gentlemen on. Again, thank you for everything you do for the community. And we look forward to having you back. Probably you first, because we'll do like an October.
Fire safety week or something.
Fire safety.
Sounds good.
So in the meantime, God bless you. We'll see you back here next week. That's it for this week on Mayor's Minutes. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.